You don't have to stand in front of me. You guys ready? Woo! I always do this. Damn it. There you go. All right, we're ready.
My name is Tiana Dansmore, and my presentation is about D&D. D&D is dissociative identity disorder, formerly known as multiple personality disorder. It is a mental health condition that involves two or more distinct personality states, also known as alter egos. Alters take control of behavioral at different times. Symptoms of D&D is suicidal tendencies, anxiety.
Oops. Sorry. Oh no, where is it? Did we lose it? Dang.
Somebody else behind the computer.
That's for sure. You go like this? No. You go like this? No. Oh. Go like this? No. There it is.
Okay. Suicidal tendencies, anxiety, panic attacks, alcohol and drug abuse, confusion, memory problems, delusions, headaches, flashbacks, eating disorders, personality change, selective loss of memory, disorientation, and depression. Challenges of living with D&D. Often misdiagnosed as schizophrenia or bipolar, since it has like similar traits. It's frequently misdiagnosed. Social stigma and misunderstanding, trouble maintaining relationships or jobs, emotional distress from trauma memories, limited access to specialized care, freeing, fragment, or not whole. They feel fragmented and not whole because they don't have full memory of what's happening as they switch between personalities. Some myths versus facts. Myths people have is that they are violent. The fact is they are most likely to harm themselves than they would others. Another myth is D&D is fake or for attention. It is real and is in the DSM-5 and very serious. Another myth is the switches are dramatic between personalities, but most are hardly noticed to outside people. They just say just a strong imagination of like people just having alter egos or other personalities. Yeah. And it stems from traumas caused when you're younger, and I think you can only get it from the ages of between 6 and 7, and after 6 and 7, you can't get it after that.
Oh.
So yeah. Causes: severe trauma in early childhood, trauma not processed, leading to dissociation. So that means when they go through a trauma process, they're not dealing with it themselves. They create another alter ego to deal with the trauma, and they don't remember it. So yeah.
Okay, you could.
Okay, period. I ain't really understood it. That really
The
don't
treatments?
treatments. It's not real big treatments like any medication or anything that people is on. They mostly got to get therapy. It's not an actual medication for D&D, but they take like medications maybe for like anxiety and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
They have grounding techniques. They just kind of like work on it with other people and therapists, and they kind of just got to get through it.
Mm-hmm.
And then they also like get comfortable with their other personalities,
Mm-hmm.
and like kind of work with it and around it. And then that's the link.
Oh, okay. It works.
Something that I think about myself that's changed, especially like our.
They know that we're in
is,
learning therapy in class. Oh shit, you got a whole hour.
Oh, no, you don't have to watch that.
No?
The
Okay.
phrase multiple personalities
Oh,
likely
sorry.
stirs up images from the 1976 movie Sybil, or perhaps the opposing characters of Jekyll and Hyde. Popular culture would have you believe that people with multiple personalities are dangerous, and few and far between. However, an estimated 150 million people experience dissociative disorders. What is it like to live with multiple people in one body?
Okay.
Today, you'll meet two.
We're recording
And
this just for you.
diagnosed 8 years ago with dissociative identity disorder, who has 11 personalities. And you'll meet Minnie, the 3-year-old girl who lives inside Encina's body.
All right, Encina, tell us where you're from.
So I was born in California
Okay.
and lived there until I was around 5 years old. And my family moved to Arizona and I've been there ever since.
And you have a unique diagnosis of having dissociative identity disorder. A lot of people know that as multiple personality disorder.
Mhm.
When were you diagnosed with it?
I was diagnosed, I think I was about 22 or 23.
Okay. And what led to the actual diagnosis?
I started having a lot of amnesia feelings, which a lot of people are, they could think of as a normal thing. You forget what you have for breakfast the day before. And it just became so big that things were happening. It's really hard to explain until you're actually like kind of going through it. That I was seeing therapists regularly, and it was just a diagnosis that ended up happening.
So you're having these events in your life where you Monday morning wake up and you can't remember what you did over the weekend. And Wednesday at night you're going to bed and you're thinking, what did I do this morning? What did I have to eat? And you don't think too much of it because people forget stuff. But then after 22, 23 years of this, you're seeing a therapist and finally the therapist says, look, you have dissociative identity disorder.
Yes, but I've been seeing therapists even before then. But it ended up coming out that, yeah, that's what it was.
And when you're in Cena talking to me right now,
Yes.
but you have 11 other altars that you can go into. Can you tell me about each one of those?
So I can tell you about, basically I have 5 primary altars, which are the ones that I, if I'm gonna switch, I switch into them very regularly. And I have one that I usually, in the past, I would switch into almost every single day.
Every day.
Every single day.
And how long did you switch into that person?
So she would come out for hours at a time and sometimes for days at a time.
But did this go on for months, years, days?
This was like years, absolutely. Yeah.
So let's talk about her.
Okay, so it's gonna sound kind of weird. So basically, let me start from the beginning a little bit. So people with DID, they get it by having traumatic, reoccurring childhood experiences that were just like unavoidable, and it's repetitive usually. So it's a lot of like, just different kinds of harming things that are happening to these people that are just super traumatic.
And you're saying, from your understanding, it's not just something that occurs once, but something that's occurring more regularly.
Yeah, it's absolutely more repetitive. It's stuff that's absolutely reoccurring. And people with DID, they get it around the ages of like newborn to around 6 to 7 years old. So you can't get DID after that time. So to kind of describe it, everybody starts out with multiple personalities, if you can kind of imagine that. And then as you get older, your personalities come into one person. If you've experienced trauma, reoccurring trauma as a child, usually before that age, those ages, your personalities stay split. And as a child, these traumatic experiences are going to create these different personalities and these different alters, if you will. And basically, they're what you're taking from around you. So some people will have alters that are like animals. Some people will have alters that are completely like non-living things, like rocks, which sounds very odd, but it's what you know as a child, what can protect you. And those alters become your protectors. So it's not a bad thing that they're there.
Imagine being able to build an app with your...
How many other presentations do we have today? 2? Okay. And then how far did you want to go in onto this one? Is that
That's fine.
the depth of it? Okay. And then whoever wanted to go next, did you upload yours to here?
Yeah.
Okay. Awesome. Who wants to go next?
I'll go. Or you can go.
All right. And then how do you spell your last name?
Hicks, HICKS.
Ah, see, I can spell that. If it's more than 5 letters, I can't spell it. Sorry. Wait, am I in the wrong spot? Am I missing it? Nope. Okay. And then do you want it downloaded as the PowerPoint or just like a PDF?
It don't even matter.
Like, is like that okay? Or is there special effects you did
Oh,
on your
no, it ain't
PowerPoint?
no effects
Okay.
on there.
All right. All righty. Well, thank you. And anybody have questions about DID? Dungeons and Dragons? No, that's okay.
All right, I'm Nakari Hicks, and this is my presentation on borderline personality disorder.
Is that too big?
No, that's fine. Okay, how is it diagnosed in the DSM-5 book? Borderline personality disorder is a pattern of instability in interpersonal relationships, meaning it can shift from the relationship being very positive to very negative. Self-image, how the person views themselves, affects, meaning emotions. People with this disorder can have strong emotions that change very quickly, like being happy 1 minute and then extremely sad or angry the next. Finally, people with borderline personality disorder are marked impulsively, meaning that they act quickly without thinking about any consequences. This can include sudden decisions or risky behaviors. This is just some of the criteria about the disorder. It begins early adulthood. The person needs to be showing at least 5 out of the 9 symptoms to be diagnosed with borderline personality disorder. The 9 symptoms are fear of abandonment, unstable relationships, unstable self-image, impulsive behaviors, recurrent suicide behavior or self-harm, rapid mood changes, chronic feelings of emptiness, intense or inappropriate anger, stress-related paranoia. Symptoms can occur in adolescents as young as 12 and 13 years old. 12 and 13-year-olds can meet the criteria for this disorder. Individuals with borderline personality disorder have increased suicide risk. The cause of BPD is not completely understood, but research says it can be caused by genetics and it's associated with childhood trauma like child abuse or emotional neglect. Borderline personality disorder can be treated through psychotherapy. Some psychotherapy options are dialectical behavior therapy, which is one of the most effective treatment therapy for people with borderline personality disorder. Cognitive behavior and therapy, mentalization-based therapy. And then this is the video.
Okay. It worked. Right on with you. Okay. And I probably have to close the other one if it's still open. Let me try.
The definition involves what in psychiatric jargon is called 3 different phenotypes, 3 different sectors of psychopathology. The first, most discriminating involves the interpersonal relationships. Borderline patients have intense, unstable relationships marked by shifts between idealizing someone and devaluing someone, and marked by vacillation between over-involvement and dismissal or under-involvement. They also have fears of abandonment, which are and fears of rejection, which is an associated feature, which are the phenomena reflecting a real fear about being alone. Some, including myself, feel that is really where the core of this disorder is in the interpersonal area. A second major sector of psychopathology has to do with affective lability or emotional dysregulation as it's become identifiable through dialectical behavior therapy. But this includes a tendency towards angry outbursts or inappropriate anger. Many patients will say that they're always angry or that they can't control their anger. Mood changes that you could say is something that might characterize people with bipolar disorder, but in borderline patients, it characteristically involves feelings of anger and is characteristically very reactive to a social context. It's not like the moods change because of some internal clock that is pushing the moods back and forth, but is very responsive to the social context and in particular to adverse interpersonal events. And a third part of that affective picture is emptiness. Not all borderline patients will describe it. Those who do describe it, it seems in listening to life histories as if it's something that developed as a result of a long-standing sense of being neglected, so that there's an inner emptiness like a hungry child who has not been fed enough. The third sector of psychopathology belongs to the behavioral problems. And here, deliberate self-harm, recurrent suicidal ideation and or acts is sort of the signal symptom of borderline personality disorder. Borderline patients often do hurt themselves and hurt themselves repeatedly. The more they do that, the more apt they are to be suicidal. Self-harm acts are both something that are self-punitive and a way of easing this dysphoric states of mind that they can't relieve otherwise. It also can become a call for help, a way of eliciting supportive responses from others. The other behavioral symptom has to do with patterns of impulsivity. These borderline patients typically have unsafe sex, drive recklessly, in addition, are frequently bulimic or substance abusing. So that's the behavioral realm. The last realm has to do with cognition. And here, borderline patients, and this is why they were originally thought maybe to be an atypical form of schizophrenia, can have these lapses of reality testing. For instance, they can be like paranoid ideas. The paranoid ideas usually occur when a borderline patient feels otherwise alone. And the idea that somebody's watching them actually is a psychological way of not being alone. They'd rather have somebody watching them than being alone. They can also have sort of hallucinogenic type phenomena when these are people who may have trouble going to sleep at night because they're alone and they may hear voices under those circumstances. I say they're not really psychotic because they reverse very quickly when you put the borderline person in a social context where there's other people around paying attention to them. So that's the definition, more or less as it's been since 1978 in the diagnostic system since 1980. One thing I haven't mentioned is a disturbed sense of self, a sense that they're not really stable. It changes. A lot of borderline patients will say that I behave a lot depending on who I'm talking to or who I'm with and what I perceive they want or what they expect from me. So ill-formed and unstable identity. There's an argument could be built, but that is a sort of blanket problem and everything else is subsumed within that. And that's what one of the pioneers in this area, Otto Kernberg, would suggest. And I think that's a viable way to look at it.
And then this is just how social workers help clients with BPD. Social workers can help clients with this disorder by building trust relationships. BPD clients deal with the fear of abandonment. So building a bond with the client so like they can trust you and they feel safe and they feel heard. This can help someone with this disorder. Social workers also focus on safety planning with BPD clients being high risk of self-harm or suicide. It's important to create safety plans and coping strategies for when the client is feeling those intense emotions. Social workers also include mental health services to prevent and cope with BPD symptoms or triggers, showing empathy, validating the client's feelings, and while using reassuring statements.
Awesome. Any questions? Okay, we'll go. Who wants to go next?
I can.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So we got,
You know,
we have 3 more.
you can go. You can go. Yeah. She can
Okay.
go and then I'll go.
How do you spell your last name?
Chandler, CHAND.
Hey, there we are. Boom. And do you want it downloaded or just,
I
that-
don't think it's gonna. Oh, never mind.
do you have special effects that you need
No,
to?
well, it wouldn't click on my video. if it
Oh,
was
okay.
the other way.
Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't.
So the mental health disorder I picked is excoriation disorder. I know a lot of people have never heard of this. I never heard of it, and so I
Yeah.
started doing research.
Hmm.
But it's a skin picking disorder, and I picked this because I'm a dermatologist. So skin, mental health, I put it together.
Mhm.
So excoriation disorder is a skin picking disorder and is a mental health condition where an individual repeatedly picks at their skin, causing damage. In the DSM-5 it is classified under obsessive compulsive and related disorders. And then here's some images. I'm sorry, I should give y'all a warning.
Okay.
But so like this is like different picking, like they pick at their face. This is like a common one. Everybody sees people picking at their hands and
Mhm.
stuff. So that's what it looks like, and it leaves like scabs and scars and stuff. So the symptoms of this disorder are repeated skin picking, visible wounds and scars, feeling tension before picking, feeling the satisfaction or relief after picking, spending long periods of time picking at skin, and trying to stop, but they're unable to. On the DSM-5 diagnosis criteria, it has recurrent skin picking that results in skin lesions, repeated attempts to stop picking but unable to. The behavior causes significant distress in social work or personal life. The behavior is not caused by substance or another medical condition, and the symptoms are not better explained by any other mental disorder. Causes and risk factors. The exact cause is unknown, but these are just some factors that may contribute: anxiety, stress, obsessive compulsive behaviors, depression, trauma, genetics, and people that have like skin imperfections. So a lot of people pick at like their acne or like if they have eczema and stuff. How social workers help. Social workers help mentally and with the quality of life. So they provide therapy and counseling, help teach coping mechanisms, strategies for stress. They help patients identify their triggers, like while they're picking at their skin. They connect patients with dermatologists and mental health services, and they support families and reduce the stigma around the mental health struggles that these people may face. And this is a video.
That's the one you were
Yeah, you should
saying.
be able to click on. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the sound of an American oil company.
Let's see how this works. There you go.
Hey Psych2Goers, welcome back. Before we begin, we'd like to mention that this video is for educational purposes only. Please do not diagnose yourself or others. Also, please note that the official term for skin picking disorder is excoriation disorder, the official name used by the DSM-V. With that said, let's begin. We've probably all seen people pick at their skin before, whether it's at a pimple, a scab, or a dry, flaky skin. However, not everyone who picks at their skin has a serious problem. So, what differentiates normal skin picking from abnormal skin picking? One that becomes a disorder. This video will discuss the diagnostic criteria of skin picking disorder, or excoriation disorder, according to the 5th edition of the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders, or the DSM-5. Number 1, the person keeps picking at their skin. People with skin picking disorder repeatedly pick at their skin, often for hours. Skin picking can be automatic. For example, a person could be talking on the phone and be picking at their skin without even realizing it. Or it can be more focused, where the person is well aware that they're picking at their skin. Nevertheless, As a result of the skin picking, the person develops scabs and wounds and feels the need to cover it up with clothing or makeup. Number 2, the person has tried to stop picking at their skin. The criteria also requires the person to have repeatedly tried to stop picking at their skin, without success. They may have reached out to people to help them stop as well. The potential reason why they find it difficult to stop picking at their skin may be because it gives a sense of relief and feelings of satisfaction after picking at their skin. In short, if it makes them feel good, it's hard for them to stop. Number 3, skin picking causes clinically significant distress in other aspects of the person's life. Skin picking causes the person to experience distress in other areas that matter to them, such as their ability to focus in school or at a workplace. The person could feel shame, embarrassment, or humiliation as a result of the way that they act. Examples of clinically significant distress can include avoiding all forms of social contact because they worry about what others might think about them picking at their skin in public. Or like avoiding classes because they're worried about not being able to resist the urge to pick their skin in front of other students. Number 4, skin picking must be differentiated from other disorders. A common criterion in the diagnosis of other disorders in the DSM is that the disorder should be distinctly different from other disorders. In this case, skin picking cannot be attributable to other disorders. In particular, skin picking disorder needs to be differentiated from other experiences such as delusions in a psychotic disorder, efforts to improve appearance in body dysmorphic disorder, stereotypes in stereotypic movement disorder, or obsessions and compulsions in OCD. And there you have it, the diagnostic criteria of skin picking disorder as described by the DSM-V. For someone to be diagnosed with skin picking disorder, the behavior has to be frequent, to the point of affecting their performance in everyday life, and has to cause them distress. They also have to have attempted to stop picking at their skin, and these symptoms must be distinguished by symptoms of other possible disorders. Have you or someone you know been diagnosed with skin picking disorder and would like to share your experience? What other psychiatric disorders would you like to learn about? Let us know in the comments below.
Amen.
And yep, that's it.
All right. Thank you. Any questions? No? Okay.
They just start like you don't even have to start as a scab. It's just it's just randomly start. Like I can't even pick my skin. It's like,
Right. Who wants to go next?
give me 1 second. I just ripped my nose ring out.
Oh, uh-oh. Don't bleed
It's
on
gonna
us.
have to wait. No, it's not gonna bleed.
Okay.
I just like
It's hard to get
I
back
was
in.
just tripping. Like I don't know why I just did that.
It happens. How do you spell your last
It's the first one, AG.
name? Boom. Got it. Okay. And then do you want me to download it or just view it as a
It
PDF?
doesn't matter.
Okay.
Okay, my name is Samaya. I'll be presenting the major depressive disorder, also known as depression. Depression isn't just feeling sad, it's a serious mental disorder. It involves ongoing sadness, loss of interest in activities, and it affects thoughts, feelings, and behavior. And it can also interfere with people's daily life, like social, work, or school, or relationships. Common symptoms of depression include persistent sadness, loss of interest, low energy, and trouble concentrating. People may also have sleep or appetite changes and feel guilty of worthlessness. Depression is caused by a mix of factors. Biological factors include brain chemistry and genetics. Psychological factors include trauma and stress. Social factors include relationship problems, loss in the family, or financial stress.
Oops.
Depression is diagnosed using the DSM-5-TR. A person must have at least 5 symptoms for 2 weeks or more, including depressed mood or loss of interest, and must affect their daily functioning. So the DSM-5-TR lists symptoms like depressed mood, loss of pleasure, sleep or appetite change, low energy, guilt, trouble focusing, movement change, and in severe cases, the thought of death or suicide. Depression affects school or work performances, relationships, physical health, and motivation. Even simple daily tasks can feel overwhelming for someone who is experiencing depression. Social workers help by providing emotional support, connecting people to services, teaching coping skills, helping in crisis, and advocating for mental health awareness. And treatments for depression can be antidepressant support groups, therapy, healthy lifestyle changes, for stress management, but they all work well together. And then here is just a video basically further explaining everything.
Are they both the same?
Yeah, you could just click it.
Okay. Let's see if we can get that rolling.
Depression is the leading cause of disability in the world. In the United States, close to 10% of adults struggle with depression. But because it's a mental illness, it can be a lot harder to understand than, say, high cholesterol. One major source of confusion is the difference between having depression and just feeling depressed. Almost everyone feels down from time to time. Getting a bad grade, losing a job, having an argument, even a rainy day can bring on feelings of sadness. Sometimes there's no trigger at all. It just pops up out of the blue. Then circumstances change, and those sad feelings disappear. Clinical depression is different. It's a medical disorder, and it won't go away just because you want it to. It lingers for at least 2 consecutive weeks and significantly interferes with one's ability to work, play, or love. Depression can have a lot of different symptoms: a low mood, loss of interest in things you normally enjoy, changes in appetite, feeling worthless or excessively guilty, sleeping either too much or too little, poor concentration, restlessness or slowness, loss of energy, or recurrent thoughts of suicide. If you have at least 5 of those symptoms, according to psychiatric guidelines, you qualify for a diagnosis of depression. And it's not just behavioral symptoms. Depression has physical manifestations inside the brain. First of all, there are changes that could be seen with the naked eye and X-ray vision. These include smaller frontal lobes and hippocampal volumes. On a more micro scale, depression is associated with a few things: the abnormal transmission or depletion of certain neurotransmitters, especially serotonin, norepinephrine, and dopamine, blunted circadian rhythms, or specific changes in the REM and slow wave parts of your sleep cycle, and hormone abnormalities, such as high cortisol and deregulation of thyroid hormones. But neuroscientists still don't have a complete picture of what causes depression. It seems to have to do with a complex interaction between genes and environment, but we don't have a diagnostic tool that can accurately predict where or when it will show up. And because depression symptoms are intangible, it's hard to know who might look fine but is actually struggling. According to the National Institute of Mental Health, it takes the average person suffering with a mental illness over 10 years to ask for help. But there are very effective treatments. Medications and therapy complement each other to boost brain chemicals. In extreme cases, electroconvulsive therapy, which is like a controlled seizure in the patient's brain, is also very helpful. Other promising treatments, like transcranial magnetic stimulation, are being investigated too. So if you know someone struggling with depression, encourage them, gently, to seek out some of these options. You might even offer to help with specific tasks, like looking up therapists in the area or making a list of questions to ask a doctor. To someone with depression, these first steps can seem insurmountable. If they feel guilty or ashamed, point out that depression is a medical condition, just like asthma or diabetes. It's not a weakness or a personality trait, and they shouldn't expect themselves to just get over it, any more than they could will themselves to get over a broken arm. If you haven't experienced depression yourself, avoid comparing it to times you've felt down. Comparing what they're experiencing to normal temporary feelings of sadness can make them feel guilty for struggling. Even just talking about depression openly can help. For example, research shows that asking someone about suicidal thoughts actually reduces their suicide risk. Open conversations about mental illness help erode stigma and make it easier for people to ask for help. And the more patients seek treatment, the more scientists will learn about depression, and the better the treatments will get.
That noise always triggers something. Who wanted to go next? You're the last one, I think. Anybody else? No? All right. You want me to plug into your computer?
No, I'm just doing soccer and
Oh, okay. Then how do you spell your last name? Okay.
It should be
The second one.
Yeah.
It's got, do you want the PowerPoint or just the PDF like that?
It could be this.
Okay.
Okay. So for my disorder, I put PTSD, which is also means post-traumatic stress disorder. What is PTSD? Post-traumatic stress disorder is a mental health condition that can help develop after someone experiences or witnesses a traumatic event, causing intense fear, anxiety, and emotional distress. It can change how a person reacts to stress. Individuals may have recurring memories or dreams about about the event and try to avoid anything that reminds them of it. These are 3 little symptoms of PTSD. It would be flashbacks and nightmares, avoidance from certain people or certain places, and then trouble concentrating.
Which can look like ADHD too.
How it affects the brain. How it affects the brain. PTSD is more than just remembering a bad event. It's a condition where the brain and body stay in survival mode. Even after the danger is gone, it can affect how the person thinks, feels, and reacts every day. With post-traumatic stress disorder, the brain's alarm system doesn't fully turn off after the traumatic event, even when the person is safe. The brain acts like there's still a threat. This condition can also affect how a person sleeps, focus, and their relationships with others. Also develop through children, but it's a little bit different. In children, it may first show up as changes in behavior like acting out, they become quiet, they have nightmares, or clinging to their caregivers because they may not fully understand yet or know how to express what happened. As they grow, these feelings can continue if they don't get the support they need right then and there. Triggers, and this kind of relates to the slide before the last. The triggers are anything that reminds the person of the traumatic experience and cause them to feel as if the danger is happening again. When triggered, a person may suddenly feel fear, panic, or distress, even if they're actually safe. How do social workers help? They talk them through it, really like emotional support. They build a safety plan for tough moments, or they practice coping with the triggers. Really hard. And then how it's diagnosed? The person must have experienced the traumatic event. They must have the symptoms like the flashbacks or nightmares. They're avoiding reminders of the trauma. They feel anxious, sad, or numb. And then being easily startled or on edge. And they must have these for more than 1 month. And then that's the video.
Okay. It's working.
I was very scared to.
Sweet.
Is it diagnosed the same like in adults and children? Like they both have that for a month?
Yeah, that part's
Genetics, ongoing overwhelming stress, and many risk factors like pre-existing mental illness.
Did I start in the middle?
No, I think because I was
Many
watching
of us
still.
Okay.
experience trauma
Okay.
during our lifetime. Sometimes we escape with no long-term effects, but for millions of us, those experiences linger, causing symptoms like flashbacks, nightmares, and negative thoughts that interfere with everyday life. This phenomenon, called post-traumatic stress disorder, or PTSD, isn't a personal failing. Rather, it's a treatable malfunction of certain biological mechanisms that allow us to cope with dangerous experiences. To understand PTSD, we first need to understand how the brain processes a wide range of ordeals, including the death of a loved one, domestic violence, injury or illness, abuse, rape, war, car accidents, and natural disasters. These events can bring on feelings of danger and helplessness, which activate the brain's alarm system, known as the fight, flight, freeze response. When this alarm sounds, the hypothalamic, pituitary, and adrenal systems, known as the hpa axis, work together to send signals to the autonomic nervous system. That's the network that communicates with adrenal glands and internal organs to help regulate functions like heart rate, digestion, and respiration. These signals start a chemical cascade that floods the body with several different stress hormones, causing physiological changes that prepare the body to defend itself. Our heart rate speeds up, breathing quickens, and muscles tense. Even after a crisis is over, escalated levels of stress hormones may last for days, contributing to jittery feelings, nightmares, and other symptoms. For most people, these experiences disappear within a few days to 2 weeks as their hormone levels stabilize. But a small percentage of those who experience trauma have persistent problems, sometimes vanishing temporarily, only to resurface months later. We don't completely understand what's happening in the brain, but one theory is that the stress hormone cortisol may be continuously activating the fight, flight, freeze response while reducing overall brain functioning, leading to a number of negative symptoms. These symptoms often fall into 4 categories: intrusive thoughts like dreams and flashbacks, avoiding reminders of the trauma, negative thoughts and feelings like fear, anger, and guilt, and reactive symptoms like irritability and difficulty sleeping. Not everyone has all these symptoms or experiences them to the same extent and intensity. When problems last more than a month, PTSD is often diagnosed. Genetics, ongoing overwhelming stress, and many risk factors like pre-existing mental illnesses or lack of emotional support likely play a role in determining who will experience PTSD. But the underlying cause is still a medical mystery. A major challenge of coping with PTSD is sensitivity to triggers, physical and emotional stimuli that the brain associates with the original trauma. These can be everyday sensations that aren't inherently dangerous, but prompt powerful physical and emotional reactions. For example, the smell of a campfire could evoke the memory of being trapped in a burning house. For someone with PTSD, that memory activates the same neurochemical cascade as the original event. That then stirs up the same feelings of panic and helplessness, as if they're experiencing the trauma all over again. Trying to avoid these triggers, which are sometimes unpredictable, can lead to isolation. That can leave people feeling invalidated, ignored, or misunderstood, like a pause button has been pushed on their lives while the rest of the world continues around them. But there are options. If you think you might be suffering from PTSD, the first step is an evaluation with a mental health professional who can direct you towards the many resources available. Psychotherapy can be very effective for PTSD, helping patients better understand their triggers. And certain medications can make symptoms more manageable, as can self-care practices like mindfulness and regular exercise. What if you notice signs of PTSD in a friend or family member? Social support, acceptance, and empathy are key to helping and recovery. Let them know you believe their account of what they're experiencing and that you don't blame them for their reactions. If they're open to it, encourage them to seek evaluation and treatment. PTSD has been called the hidden wound because it comes without outward physical signs. But even if it is an invisible disorder, it doesn't have to be a silent one. Mental health conditions impact millions of people around the world, yet are often misunderstood. Check out this playlist to get informed.
Have you guys
We can go
seen
to the point.
or like heard of Tourette's?
Yeah.
Somebody in my last class told me there was something last month that was at a movie awards.
Uh-huh.
What was it?
Yeah.
Oh, Michael.
Yeah.
Michael Jordan?
Michael B. Jordan.
Is it? Can you look it up?
Yeah. I don't know. This girl with Tourette's called Michael Jordan a nigger.
It was a girl.
I thought it was a man. I thought it was a white man. It was somebody with Tourette's.
And like,
I think he was presenting an award and it was dead silent and the person just yelled, nigger.
really?
I mean, like, they just be like, it's just like, my
I'm
basketball
used-
coach, one of my teachers, he was also my basketball coach in high school. He had Tourette's and like, it just would happen.
Like cuss words. I always thought it was
They just say it, like, they don't try to, it just be happening.
correct. It's supposed it's involuntary
Or, like,
and
they'll like hear it and then they'll just keep saying, okay.
like I always thought it was cuss words, but recently I have gotten a client and he does do this, and like I do counseling on the side, and they do yell like,
It'd be like noises too, like it'll be like words.
yeah, it can be a
Sometimes they won't,
tick.
like, say anything. It'll just be like motions.
Right. It can be a tick, or it can be like blinking. It could be, there's like several things that they describe it with. But yeah. Oh, I didn't know Billie Eilish had it. Interesting. Okay.
Pop idol Billie Eilish.
It's really weird. I like haven't talked about it at all.
Eilish says she suffers from the neurological disorder Tourette's and experiences the sudden twitches that come with the condition.
When did this come on you?
I got diagnosed when I was 11, and I had like small ones as a kid, like, or like I did that a lot.
She opens up to David Letterman in his new Netflix show, My Next Guest Needs No Introduction. The topic came up after Eilish suddenly jerked during their chat.
What's going on, the fly?
No, I'm picking.
That's when he asked what brought it on.
The lights.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Eilish gets candid about how people react.
The most common way that people react is they laugh because they think I'm like trying to be funny, right? They think I'm going like as like a funny move. And so they go like, and I am always left incredibly offended by that.
Yeah.
Or they go like, what?
Yeah.
And I'm like, and then I go, I have Tourette's.
The superstar went down the list of her tics.
I never like don't tick at all because the main ticks that I do constantly all day long are like, I wiggle my ear back and forth and like raise my eyebrow and click my jaw and do that and like flex my arm here and flex this arm and flex these muscles. These are things you would never notice, like if you're just having a conversation with me. But for me, they're very exhausting.
So yeah, somebody told me about it was like February that this had happened, and counseling somebody who has it, I'm afraid he's going to say something stupid. I have to keep in my earbuds then. Like that's frightening. I didn't know that they did bad words and like. Anybody know anybody with Tourette's? No. Okay, so summer classes, if you need a hold taken off, tell me. I can take that off here. If you take 2, your Pell Grant should pay for it. You have to take 2 classes. And then I think they're like 8 weeks. When did you say they were? May 18th?
May 18th to July 10th.
And they're usually